I'm David Gao. I'm the Director of Business and Enterprise Applications at Teknion Limited. We're a global office furniture manufacturer headquartered in Canada with a worldwide footprint. One of the good things about Teknion is that we are a multi-technology company, and we've got OpenEdge as being one of our flagship products that we use in something that we call our order-to-cash application suite. What it is anything from a pre-order, from a product catalog definition, all the way down to the logistics portion of it, and everything in between is handled through all custom applications developed within Teknion for the purposes of this business. And it's complemented by other non-progress products in ERPs and other manufacturing and logistic tools. From a progress perspective, we also use Sitefinity, which powers our corporate websites, powers other functionality that's tied to a corporate website in a protected environment for our dealer and wider network partners. And we also hook in with other technologies through Sitefinity, through OpenEdge, and collectively have what we call the Teknion Order-to-Cash suite. Now, Teknion as a company, we try to be more cloud-centric, but cloud does not mean public cloud. Cloud means how do we go about things in a cloud approach. So as part of this migration, there was a parallel project which was a forerunner to our migration as well, where we've implemented what we call the Teknion private cloud. And that's where we now run all our applications, and we call our applications as well, it's a cloud app, because I can now make it available no matter where, however I can scale, no matter where, however. In terms of the app server in itself, it's been great. And why it's great is we moved away from processes to threading. And I can't tell you how much I love that. Reasons being is that I can continue to run that main MSA and have agents start up and start down, depending upon whether they're performing in a way that they should not be in terms of, let's say, memory usage, or there's a runaway of some kind. It also allows us to consolidate a lot of the deployment. It also allows us to consolidate a lot of the runtime, so that we gain the benefits of a server, not from so much of processes and not from so much of wasted allocations of memory, but in better utilization of them, because one MSA is now servicing a lot more than what I have done before, right? So to us, that's been the biggest gain. And personally, that's been one of my agenda items in our journey to move to that model, just so that we could sustain that. And add to that it's built on Tomcat. It also now allows me to work with other technologies natively in that whole ecosystem of PaaS-OE. And I don't have to kind of go outside and try to do too many things that previously we wouldn't have even thought possible. What we can do right now with the new PaaS environment is great. What we also do is leverage. Now, we've also invested in Kendo UI, and one of the big aspects for me was to not waste time and have this time to market to take a UI development from, let's say, 3 weeks down to 3 days. And I don't have explicit numbers, but I can tell you it's somewhere in that range. And why is it important is that once we kind of built the templating for these are the standards, they'll go through our corporate marketing from a branding perspective, they're branded. That's now my template. Any new update that I have to do, I don't have to go and literally write from scratch. I'm taking this template, I'm having it there, tie my data sources in, and I'm off to the races. One decision that we had purposely made was not to use any data objects, but to do everything with REST. And the simple reason behind that was we don't have one data source in OpenEdge. We have multiple data sources. So by communicating and having that baseline of a REST API, just allowed my UI to now be everywhere. And historically, what we used to say to a person, oh, this is a progress app, we don't say that anymore. We say this is a functional app, call it, this is my order entry module. And oh, what's it written in? It's a collection of technologies. You don't need to know that anymore. So that kind of leverages the whole thing about an app can be built anywhere in the cloud. And I see OpenEdge together with PaaS-OE, Kendo, and its other components, being an equal player, if not sometimes better. We were running for almost 10 years on version 10.2b, running on HPUX. And as part of HPUX going out of style, as well as the ability to kind of have more rapid adjustments to product, we felt that we had to move on to a better platform. We chose Linux, running on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We also choose to migrate, at least the plan when we were doing it was to focus getting on to 11.7. But moving a moving ship is definitely not the easiest of tasks. So there had to be a lot of planning. There had to be a lot of adjustments to who we were going to involve, both from the business standpoint, from a technology standpoint. We also did leverage a lot of progress-based professional services to help us along the way. And eventually we made a decision to scrub 11.7 and move to 12.0. It was April of 2020 when we actually shifted into a live environment in the OpenEdge 12 as OE running on Red Hat. And that process actually showcased a few things that we had not planned for before. And what that was is how security played a role, more importantly, how memory played a role. And it became very evident that the old way of how code ran on the old classic app servers was definitely not going to be the same way it ran in this. So it was a bit of a stumble and fall, but pick yourself up. And then that caused a new plan to get created, and what we call that as the application stabilization, which is where we are. We're probably close to the 80%. And it was reviewing applications, reviewing how code was written, not necessarily the engine in itself, but really how code written all the way from the early 90s was now going to be reflective in how it ran, how it was supported in the runtime environments. And that showed us, thanks to OE management, a lot of memory, a lot of CPU spikes that we would have to understand how to handle. All that became part and parcel of the stabilization program, which I can say right now is behind us, probably around 80% of it. And we've now still got the remaining 20% to go, but that's been our journey. We run a shop that is running off single sign-on on all our applications through a cloud-based IDP. We use Okta. Most of our applications, most of our cloud apps, most of our on-prem apps that are built on the cloud all leverage that functionality. Using 10.2b, that was a limitation. We could not communicate because fundamentally we could not talk HTTP. That has changed, and that has dramatically changed the whole aspect of all our progress applications written in OpenEdge now, because we've now created a layer of authentication using the client principal object in and what we call the CPO internally. To basically be the platform of authentication. And over that, any application module that we would end up adding on just rides on that security and authentication model. So to us, that has been one of the biggest advantages